Good evening, everyone. This is Border to Border Live with Rudy Mireles. I am Rudy, and thanks so much to those of you joining me live on Facebook, YouTube. I see people on TikTok joining right now. It's 7 p.m. on this December, Friday the 13th. Feels a little weird having a Friday the 13th, like smack dab in the middle of like the holiday season, right? Has anybody watched any horror movies yet today? I was just telling my wife I want to watch, there was the one last year with Hopper from Stranger Things. I think it's like Violent Night, I think. I don't remember. But definitely want to check that out. Weird times, Friday the 13th. So much to get to today, though. We are talking about SpaceX asking for an election to turn their Boca Chica facility into the City of Starbase. I've got a lot to explain to you there. We're going to do that a little later, along with a look at some gas prices and a look at the weekend forecast from around the valley. But first, we're going to do the headlines. As always, Border to Border is powered by Gelman Vision. From LASIK to cataracts, board-certified cornea specialist Dr. Rachel Gelman wants to help you change the way that you see the world. Call 956-302-1015 or visit gelmanvision.com to schedule a consultation today. And as some of you might know, now that I'm doing my own thing, I'm combining my data science knowledge and my knowledge of the Valley, along with my love and passion for housing, to be a real estate agent here in the Rio Grande Valley. So with that being said, let me be your next real estate expert. If you want to buy, sell, or invest, give me a call. I'm going to use that same enthusiasm, dedication, and hard work that you've come to know me for. So 956-230-7733 if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest a house in housing in the Rio Grande Valley. And this evening's top story, SpaceX officially pushing to turn its Boca Chica site into Starbase, Texas. Now, if you follow me on social media at all, Rudy Mireles TV on all the platforms, I told you yesterday that the company had officially submitted a petition to Cameron County asking the judge for an election to decide if the area can incorporate as a municipality. Well, today, Cameron County Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. confirmed that petition is under review to make sure it meets all legal requirements. Now, if it checks out, people who are registered to vote in the area there are going to get to decide in an election. Now, SpaceX as incorporation will help them manage local services like roads, utilities, school, and healthcare, while also improving the area for current and future residents. Now, if the election is approved and results are certified, Cameron County commissioners will finalize that process. Again, I'm going to talk a lot more about that in just a little bit. So let's get through some of these other stories happening across the valley. In McAllen voters have their first name to consider on the next city commission ballot. McAllen Mayor Javier Villalobos is running for re-election. He made that announcement this week on Facebook, saying he's proud of what the city has achieved, but wants to finish what he started. Villalobos was first elected in June 2021 after a close runoff against Veronica Whitaker. Since taking office, he's faced challenges like COVID-19 and immigration, but says McAllen's economy is thriving with rising sales tax revenues and growth in international trade. Villalobos also highlighted updates to the city's development code aimed at reducing traffic and modernizing construction. He credits the city commission and the staff for their teamwork in making that progress possible. McAllen's next municipal election is going to be in May of 2025. So next May, they're going to have mayoral and 3 city district seats on the ballot. Villalobos says he hopes voters will give him another term to keep building on the city's success. We're going to stay in the McAllen area for the next one, as the city commission has approved a major update to its land use and development rules. Now, we've talked about this in the past couple weeks on the show. The new Unified Development Code, or UDC, passed unanimously during this week's city commission meeting. Mayor Villalobos called it a long time coming. Now, this has been going on for a couple years, or this update has been in the works for years. It's part of McAllen's Envision McAllen 2040 plan, and it aims to modernize how McAllen grows with more mixed-use areas, pedestrian-friendly spaces, and flexible zoning for developers. The goal is to make McAllen a place where people can live, work, and play within close proximity. Now, they're thinking something like in Austin or like a San Antonio. Imagine, you're living in an apartment above a shopping district down there. You may have a small grocery store, restaurant. So that was kind of the idea right now. The codes and the development codes and all that kind of was stifling stuff like that. A lot of people aren't on board with this, though. Some former city planners worry the changes could hurt neighborhood character and lead to enforcement issues. Still, supporters, including a lot of young folks, turned out saying they see it as a step towards a more vibrant and economically active city. The new rules will roll out gradually with a 6-month transition period and citywide rezoning starting next spring. Remember last week I told you about Hidalgo County had one last inspection to pass before they could open up the new courthouse officially in its entirety? Well, they've got that done. They're officially gearing up to move into the new courthouse after the building's jail holding facilities passed a final inspection by the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. So this inspection certified that the courthouse meets the state standards for jail construction and operation. Now, the county judge, Richard Cortez, called it a big milestone, adding that the transition process is now underway. I told you about that earlier this week, actually. I told you they were starting to move folks over there. The move will involve relocating millions of legal documents and hundreds of employees, which could take to 60 to 90 days. And when that's done, that's when they're expecting to open it up to the rest of us to go in there to do any business we may have with the county. Now, they've already started phase 2 of the project. I told you about that too, which is getting rid of the old county courthouse. So I'll let you know what goes on with that. There was a lot of cost overruns and time overruns on this new courthouse construction. We'll see if the demolition of the old courthouse takes longer than expected, and we'll keep you up to date on that. Turning to some news you can use, I've got some reminders for you if you want to get your gifts out on time while also keeping your personal information safe. If you're shipping gifts this holiday season and you don't have much time to do it, it's the 13th now, make sure you don't miss these deadlines. For ground shipping, most major carriers like USPS, UPS, and FedEx recommend sending packages by mid-December. I think I was looking at the websites, most of the places for regular packages ends, I think, maybe mid next week. You got about 5 days if you want stuff. But if you want priority services, if you want to wait a little longer, you've got until about December 20th, depending on the carrier. If you're a procrastinator like me, I still haven't even bought a lot of gifts. There are express options available just a couple of days before Christmas. They're going to cost you more. So make sure to check all the different carriers to see when you should get your package out if you're kind of like cutting it close to the deadline now. And we're going to stay on the mail too. The United States Postal Inspection Service, that's the post office cops, the post office feds, are warning about holiday scams that could cause some problems for your holiday. They're saying be cautious of counterfeit stamps sold online at deep discounts. And they say the stamps look real, but they could lead to you losing a lot of money on the stamps not being any good, and they could cause you some legal trouble. So always buy stamps from approved postal providers. Also, watch out for phishing emails and texts pretending to be from the Postal Service asking for personal information or payments. I get one of those texts like once a week. It's either the Postal Service or a UPS or FedEx text allegedly telling me to click a link because they couldn't deliver my package. Don't just click on any text from them. The United States Postal Service says they're not going to contact you through a text asking for information or payments unless you requested them to contact you. So don't click on any links or anything like that, and keep your security software on your computers updated. And to protect your mail and packages from theft, they recommend using signature, confirmation, and tracking services. So make sure to just take any extra precautions when it comes to sending any mail this holiday season. Now let's take a look at the gas prices across the valley. Just check these right before we came on the air tonight. $2.45.8 in Cameron County, $2.46.2 in Hidalgo County, and a $2.52.5 in Star and Wilson County is sitting at $2.444 for a valley average of $2.472 as we head into the weekend, according to the American Automobile Association. Speaking of the weekend, we have some possible. Let me see here. Sorry, just switching through my graphics. There we go. Some possible thunderstorms in San Benito tomorrow. It's going to be a high of 81 degrees for them, 68 degrees into the overnight. It's going to be 80 degrees in Elsa on Sunday with a shower or two, 69 degrees overnight in Edinburgh. On Monday, it's going to be pretty similar to the weekend. Showers, a few thunderstorms possible here and there, high of 84 degrees. Now that is going to do it for the headlines portion of the show today, but don't go anywhere because we're going to talk more about SpaceX's ask for an election to become their own city in Cameron County after just a quick break. And from what's next, we're going to talk about everything from what's next, like the next steps, all the way to what I think about it all. That's all next. This is Border to Border Live with Rudy Mireles. We're back in less than 2 minutes.
Your life doesn't have to be limited.
Hello. Welcome back to Border Live. I am Rudy Mireles. Border to Border Live is powered by Gelman Vision. Have questions about LASIK? Call Dr. Rachel Gelman, 956-302-1015, or visit gelmanvision.com to schedule a consultation today. So before the break, we were talking about SpaceX asking Cameron County to create their own city. And I usually kind of reserve my opinions, but I do have some comments I'm going to pass along in a little bit about this. But first, let's kind of talk about Starbase, Texas, and how incorporation would work in this process. Now, SpaceX has officially asked Cameron County to consider incorporating Starbase as a city. Now, while this proposal raises big questions about the future of the Rio Grande Valley, let's start with the basics. What happens next? Who gets a say in this decision? And that's vital, right? Who's going to actually vote on this? So who votes on incorporation? If the county agrees to move forward, they're checking everything right now, making sure the package looks good legally. The decision on whether Starbase becomes a city is going to go to that vote, but not everyone in Cameron County will vote. Only the people that live within the boundaries of the proposed city area are going to be able to cast a ballot in this election. And it's designed that way. That's supposed to ensure that the people that are most directly affected by the decision have the final say. Now, here's how the whole process works. And this is for any city, not just SpaceX. If you wanted to start a city in the state of Texas, this is how you would go about doing it. First, you create a petition. A group, in this case SpaceX, submits a petition to the county judge requesting incorporation. The second step is approval to call an election. Right, this is where we're at right now. The county is reviewing the petition to make sure it's meeting all legal requirements, such as defining clear boundaries for the proposed city. So if all of that looks good in SpaceX's package, next comes the election. If the petition is approved, an election is held where eligible residents vote on whether to incorporate. And then the last and final step is incorporation and governance. If the majority of the people in that proposed area of the City of Starbase, Texas, vote yes, the area becomes an official city and a local government is established. Now, for Starbase, this would mean becoming a Type C city under Texas. Now, what is a Type C city? Well, there's 3 types of cities in the state, A, B, and C. Type C cities are a category in Texas designed for small communities. They operate under the general law system, meaning they have limited powers and must pretty much adhere pretty closely to state law when they make their decisions. So typically, a Type C city is governed by a city commission, which includes 3 elected officials, a mayor and 2 commissioners. This is a little different from larger cities. Excuse me. Like Brownsville, which are home rule cities, they have more autonomy to create their own rules and structures as long as they don't conflict with state law. They usually have larger populations, more resources, which kind of allows them to handle a wider range of responsibilities independently. Now, for Starbase, starting as a Type C city would likely mean a simple government focused on basic things like we're talking infrastructure, zoning, public services like police, fire. And over time, if that population grows, then they could transition into a Type A or Type B city with more powers and responsibilities. So that's basically the gist of where we're at right now when it comes to the official steps in Starbase becoming a city in the state of Texas. It's an exciting idea, right? It doesn't matter, I don't think, if you're for or against SpaceX, whichever side of the fence you sit on. I think having SpaceX out there is exciting at the end of the day. But with anything this big, there's a lot of pros and cons on both sides to think about, right? So what could incorporating Starbase do for the Valley? So if Starbase becomes a city, it's going to be good for them specifically, right? It'll have tangible effects for us, the rest of the Valley, but it's going to be good there locally. They're going to be able to speed up improvements to their area. So decisions about things like housing and infrastructure, they're going to be able to make those decisions there, which could mean those things could happen faster out there. And if you know anything about how they do things out there, they're always moving pretty fast, kind of, break things. And if it didn't work, figure out how to do it better the next time, right? So yeah, and let's face it, because like this part of South Texas doesn't always get attention or investment, so that's kind of a positive as well. They've already poured billions of dollars into this area, so incorporating Starbase would likely bring even more jobs, more money, and more talent to the Valley. And it's not just about rockets, right? It's a bigger picture stuff when you think about it. SpaceX has put South Texas on the map as a hub for innovation. It used to be when people talked about this area, it was mostly immigration, border news, stuff like that. But now we have something else to talk about. We can talk about the growing technology hub that the Rio Grande Valley is becoming. And Starbase could become a model for future high-tech, forward-thinking, and designed to support a growing workforce, right? That's the stuff we're not thinking about. Stuff we always see in the movies about how cool would this technology be if our city could do this, our city could do that. SpaceX has the opportunity to test that and become really the blueprint for other cities to do it, going forward, whatever it may be. Granted, we still have a lot of work to do. There's traffic lights that I go through every single day in different parts of the Valley, and I'm like, how are we still working on a timer from 5 below for a street light? That's neither here nor there, but either way, Starbase could become that model, and that's a huge deal for us because we have struggled to attract long-term industries over the years, and slowly but surely we're seeing some of our staples go, like some of our crops have gone. Our sugar mill has disappeared. We need to start thinking about other industries going forward. If you're a county, and I'm not saying this is the case in Willacy County, right? Willacy County over the years, in recent years, has expanded their investments in hopes to not have something like a jail, for example, shutting down, causing a massive disruption, right? So having this technology, which is the future of all industry in many different ways, not just space, but technology as a whole here in the Rio Grande Valley, having a foothold in the Rio Grande Valley, that could fill the gap that is being created by some of these other industries that have either left us or that have shuttered over the past couple years. Now, that being said, concerns are real, right? I've seen it firsthand. I've seen, the damages that people have claimed from homes nearby. I've seen what it looks like out there after a launch. I've seen what it looks like out there after just an explosion with no launch being attempted. It's not pretty. And not everyone's on board with this, and they've got valid concerns when it comes to that, especially when it comes to the environment. A lot of folks may not know this, but Boca Chica is home to some incredible wildlife, including endangered species like sea turtles and ocelots. And SpaceX has faced criticism and even been sued over claims that they're harming those ecosystems. And while SpaceX says they're doing stuff, right? They do beach cleanups. They have wildlife programs. I believe they donate to things like helping folks that may be lower income get fishing gear and learn how to fish and get people out there fishing. I know they've worked with Sea Turtle Inc. For a lot of folks, that's still not enough. So then there's the question of how much growth can that area handle? There's not a whole lot out there, and Starbase rather becoming their own city would bring some of those services out there. But bringing in more people in industry sounds great, but it can strain local resources, and we're not just talking about, things in Brownsville, like, let's say, for example, talking about, police, having needing more police and stuff like that. It could even affect housing. As a real estate agent myself, I see how this can affect housing. I've seen home prices in the Valley grow, not greatly. They're growing, and they're growing consistently, right? But, they could start growing at a rate that outpace what locals can afford. And so those are real problems, potential problems that could come from something like this. And if housing prices skyrocket, it could push a lot of longtime folks out, obviously not just out there in Starbase, but, in the outer areas. You're pushing out towards Port Isabel, towards Brownsville. Everything has its good and its bad. And that's why I think what needs to happen is we just all need to come together with a little patience and reason, right? I know we don't talk a lot about that in the media. It's always trying to get a rise out of people. How can we get people fired up about something? How can we get people upset? But let's use a little reason on both sides, right? Progress is never perfect and never has been perfect. We're still talking about how America was created all these decades, hundreds of years later. And with good reason, right? It hasn't always been pretty, and I'm not excusing anything. But that being said, I think it doesn't mean we shouldn't try to be perfect, right? Doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be the best you can. Just because, the Bible says we're all sinners doesn't mean we shouldn't try not to be, right? The other thing is Elon Musk has already made a huge bet on South Texas, right? He's ramped up that Starbase facility so greatly over the last few years. And, he's brought SpaceX headquarters here, and he could potentially bring the headquarters here in more than just name, because that's kind of what it is mostly at the moment. SpaceX headquarters is in Brownsville, in name only, really. A lot of stuff still happening out there at Hawthorne, but this is really a chance. He's clearly committed to this area. Whether you want to, think about whatever his reasons for being committed to this area are, that's on you. But at the end of the day, his commitment to the area brings opportunities that we can't ignore. And this is a chance for us in the Valley to become a leader in space exploration. And like I said earlier, high-tech innovation as a whole globally, not just in space. I mean, we're talking technology, period. But again, it has to be done responsibly, because we can't sacrifice the environment. We can't sacrifice the communities and the people that have lived here for several generations for the sake of progress. At the same time, we can't let fear of change kind of stop us from moving forward either. There's a middle ground here, right? And we all have to kind of come together. We're talking SpaceX, county officials, because you see it all the time. I see it in the streams, and I see folks talking in the stream. I really appreciate it, Jay. I thank you so much for the comments on TikTok there. I see y'all on TikTok. I see a few of you on Facebook and some of y'all on YouTube. So thank you so much for joining me. Right. Sometimes in the comments, I see, people saying like, oh, our local politicians are sold to SpaceX. And it's like, or our local politicians seeing an opportunity to, bring something to the community that maybe wouldn't have been here 10 years ago even, right? It's only been 10 years since SpaceX decided to move out here. And it's really only been, 7 or 8 maybe since they really started growing. And so I think everyone just has to step back, take a moment, and just take a breath. Everything's going to be okay. We just need to all talk about it. We need to work together. SpaceX needs to listen to the folks that have concerns. The people that have concerns need to voice them respectfully. If we can all come together as a community, we can all move forward together as a community. And I'm not saying we should let SpaceX do whatever they want, right? It's definitely on the local journalists, and it's definitely on us, the people, holding them accountable to the promises that they've made about protecting the environment and supporting us in the community. But we need to make sure that those promises turn into action. And that's, it's been actionable mostly. And that's good. That's a show of good faith, in my opinion. Maybe that means even creating some kind of local committee at a county level or, at a region level where we can, have SpaceX Starbase's general manager come and chat with folks and, more than just the FAA required, environmental proposal meetings, maybe put a committee together. I think having some folks from all different walks of life from across the valley come together and really understand, right? Maybe you won't come up with any solutions, but maybe you can get a clearer picture of what the other person's feeling so that the next decision you make, you can take that into account. So that being said, another thing we can't fail to forget is our partnership. SpaceX, Cameron County, they can work together to build infrastructure that we're going to need for the growth, roads, housing, schools. Those are the things that are going to benefit everyone. Have to think long term for us. It's not just about the rockets, right? It's not just about the concerns today, but it's about the legacy overall that we're going to leave for our kids and grandkids here in the valley. The valley is a special place, and we can protect it. It's beautiful land, it's wildlife, while still embracing those opportunities that SpaceX and other companies across the world, I'm sure, are going to start seeing and bringing to us too. So at the end of the day, this is more than just about city boundaries or space explorations, kind of creating something that we can all just be proud of here. But it all starts with all of us being reasonable, listening to each other, showing a little civility, right? Whether even if it's online when you can be anonymous, and that just goes in all walks of life. Just be a little more civil to each other. We can all benefit from that lesson, right? And that's going to do it for me today. I thank you guys so much for joining me. Today's edition is powered by Gelman Vision. As always, from LASIK to cataracts, board-certified cornea specialist Dr. Rachel Gelman will help you change the way that you see the world. Call 956-302-1015 or visit gelmanvision.com to schedule a consultation today. And for some of you that don't know, I'm a real estate agent now. I'm using my data science, my knowledge of the valley, and putting it to use, helping folks buy, sell, and invest in properties here in the valley. So, give me a call. I'd love to be your next real estate expert if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest. My professionalism levels, my integrity levels, and that I work really, really hard. That's just been the standard for me, and that's the work that I'm going to bring to you. So give me a call, 956-230-7733, and let's make your life goals a reality together. Just a reminder, this is going to start happening at noon on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, noon to 12:30, and then from 12:30 to 1, I do an unofficial stream on TikTok, so make sure to follow me over there. TikTok, I'm going to be coming to you guys over there in just a little bit. Also, thank you so much to everyone commenting. Catalina, I see some last moment comments here before we go. Truly think it will eventually raise the cost of living even higher, tax higher, and God only knows what else. What if one of those rockets fails and falls down on a community? Then what? More valid concerns there. Very, very valid concerns that you have there, Catalina. Thanks for sharing those with us. All right, but yeah, so we're going to continue the conversation on TikTok. TikTok, if you're here, give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back to the rest of you. Have a great, safe weekend, and we will talk to you all Monday at noon.